Hi, and welcome to Living on Purpose with me, Jenny Dean. It is now, the second week of December, which has gone by like crazy fast, this whole year, crazy fast. I hope everybody is having a good first 2 weeks in December, and we just have a little bit more left. I feel like it's crazy, crazy, crazy time, which I know everyone does, and we just kind of have to, I go day by day. Just the schedules fill up so quickly. It's crazy. Anyway, today I'm kind of excited about because this is a really meaningful podcast for me. I am going to be sharing with you my top 10 books that I believe can have the ability to change your life. I have brought them with me today in the studio. I have some over here that you can look at. I'm also posting every single one, and they will be in the show notes. And I was not a reader until I would say 4 years ago. When I started teacher training, yoga teacher training, they had you read 8 books, and you had to write book reports for 10 weekends. And I remember looking at the teacher being like, that's not going to happen. I'm probably not going to do that. I'll just look at them and skim them and just kind of fake it till I make it. But the first book was Find Your Happy, which is this one right here. And I mean, you can look in it, what I have done to it. It is just notes and notepads and highlighting. I mean, it is almost falling apart. And I've also given it out to people for them to read. This one is almost a game changer. It is, I mean, I could not put it down. I remember when I first got it, but basically, what sums it up is life is what we make of it. And when we stay stuck in negative thought patterns because we are so busy taking apart everything, the comments, the reactions from other people, we lessen our ability to live life to the fullest. So it's just, owning your own actions and living in a positive mindset rather than a negative, and not getting caught up with all the BS that we have going on around us. So this is a must-read, in my opinion, if you are looking at all to change your mindset, And then I will go on to, and then what else? We had to read Boundaries, which is huge. And this could be a whole podcast in itself. It could be an hour of talking. And how I read books might be different. I always have a pen, always. And I underline, highlight anything that I can, just because it is not, once I read the book once, I will read it over and over again. That is just kind of what I do. I outline, you can see what I've done here. I outline and box stuff, and then it's crazy to go back like in a year and go revisit the book and how that stuff doesn't even relate to me now, or it related to me a year ago. It's interesting. Boundaries is a must read for just creating your own life and creating your boundaries, protecting yourself. Otherwise, it's really easy to get caught up into everyone's beliefs about yourself. You Are a Badass, which is all around everywhere. She has like 3 different books. Everyone should read. It is creating a life you totally love and create it now, and she just goes through steps to help you. Seed of the Soul was not in my yoga teacher training, but it is one of Oprah's favorite book, and it is a game changer. There's also a podcast that goes with Seed of the Soul, and you're supposed to read a chapter of the book and then listen to the podcast that they correlate. I've done it 3 times, and it's hours of work. It's almost like a Bible study, kind of, but it's more into just really in depth with how you feel. It's called, It Will Change the Way You See the World, Interact with People, and Understand Your Actions and Motivations. So it's all like in the conscious mind thinking and being aware of every decision you make, every action you make, which can only help us not be the crazy people on the tollway. Another one, 4 agreements, and I'm just going to go through these quickly. If I do have a lot of people ask me what book, like if someone's going through, I just had someone going through the loss of her mother, and she's like, help me, what can I do? And I gave her Purpose Driven Life, which is this. I have 3 copies of it, which is it's a game changer too. What on earth am I here for? This is more Bible based. And I gave her that and she loved it. So the 4 agreements is great. This is what we live by in yoga teacher training. This is how it kind of, when people say they go through the 200-hour of teacher training, they're forever changed. And this is probably why from this book. They believe, and you have 4 agreements. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Second is don't take anything personally. Third is don't make exceptions. Fourth is always do your best. So, and then, she breaks down every single chapter with those 4 agreements. And they believe if you're in line with the 4 agreements, then you are in process of owning your life. And then I have over here, that's anything. Tipping Point is really good. That's more business savvy. The One Thing is a good one. If you have a lot of things that you want to zone in on, this is a picture of the top 10 books that I brought here. Anything John Maxwell, I'm obsessed with. He has a great podcast too. He's more Bible-based. Baron Baptiste is Perfectly Imperfect. That's just accepting, who you are. Brene Brown is another good one. Anything and everything that is more directed on self-development and self-discovery, I am all about. So I do not know it all. I do read, I'm that crazy person. I do read probably 2 books a month, which is 24 books a year. And the way I find time is I'll make myself read a chapter a day of a book. And sometimes I have like 3 books open. So it is just whatever I pick. I'll read either a chapter in the morning or a chapter at night or both. And that does require, I don't watch, that's where my TV time goes, I guess. If I'm on the couch, I'll probably reading rather than watching TV or on my phone. And that's just that, I have grown into that because I used to not be like that. But I feel better when I'm learning and researching and you know better, you do better. So I just want more information right now. But I wanted to give you guys these tips because I do get asked that a lot is, what kind of book can I read? And I do believe you can read a book and it will change your life for everything that you go through. And I want to be able to share that with you guys. If you want to, if you guys know any books, please share with me. And I would love to, I need more books to be able to read and to be able to share with everyone. So, and I will have on the show notes all of these books, and we can go through them. You can ask me questions, whatever you need to do. So that's one part of today's topic. I want to dive into, so the end of the year, I always like to reflect on, what I have done this year, what I've accomplished, and what can I do next year to make it even better. And I will say 2019 is a year that is a huge transformation for me. Huge. I will never forget it. Never, ever, ever forget this year. Every single month I have engraved in my subconscious that I have an emotion tied to every month. It's crazy because I sat down today for 3 hours and just bawled my eyes out, went through it all. I went through the process, and hopefully I can get through it today and share it with you guys. And I think it's a good tip to do is just being aware of what you're doing in your life. Go back and reflect in December from all the way up from January. A good thing what I started with is in my phone. I entered in January, on the search button in my photos, and all these photos came up. I did February of 2019. All these photos came up, and it's just, that's the only way you're going to get better and live, the life your way is being aware of what you're doing every month, every day, every second. So I have my I narrowed it all down because I have learned a lot this year. It's been a huge transition, huge reflection, huge growth for me. I'm 39 years old. Next year is 40, and I can't wait. I'm not one of those that's oh my God, I'm 40. I think you get better with age. I have definitely gotten better since, myself at 25 was a joke looking back. So now I know better, and I'm constantly learning more. So I can't wait till 2020. So I'm going to share with you my top 10 lessons that I have learned, and hopefully they resonate with you guys. That's my only hope with this whole podcast, is that I believe you go through stuff so you can help other people go through their own stuff. And that is truly why I am here right now. So my number one is ego. I have had to lose my ego. I am a huge people pleaser. I will put others' needs before mine every second of the day. That is just who I am. I think a lot of women have that, especially moms. We put everyone's needs before ours. I would even let people choose what, colored drapes I wanted. I would let people choose what I wanted to eat or where I wanted to go eat. And I just I had no opinion, And it was definitely sleepwalking through life. I had a huge need for people to like me, where I'm like, oh my God, I want to please them because I want them to like me and blah, 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 blah. And now I've had a huge awakening where I don't care really if you like me because I'm okay with myself. So I've had to kill my ego in 2019. I've learned who Jenny and what Jenny likes, and not to listen to the people telling me what Jenny likes. I have a lot of head trash, which we all do, which is just all that crap that we go through in our heads. And I've had to learn how to disconnect from that. So you really can. It is all a brain mind game to really change the way you think. It's just, you just have to do the work. I also learned this year my core values, and I've had to make hard decisions, hard decisions. And if it doesn't align with my core value, then it's not going to be in my life. And that is a huge, mind-blowing thing that I've had to learn in 2019. It's been the hardest year by far of my whole entire life, but also the most freeing I felt, 100% in my skin, which is a really cool feeling. The second lesson I've learned is my voice. Just like I said, I was a people pleaser. I have been a follower my whole life, for sure. I listened to my parents growing up. I moved to college to be with my sister, who I just followed around college. Then I followed her to Dallas, just get in her back pocket and followed her. And we're still super, super close now. But I have learned that I never was grounded in who I was because I was so busy following other people. And after college, I moved to Dallas to follow my sister, and then I got married and I followed my husband. I was never a leader. And that's no one's fault at all. It's just me growing up and maturing and realizing where I don't want to be. I don't want to be a follower. For me, and I want to be a leader and hold strong core values. So I'm glad 2019 came because it truly taught me who Jenny is, and I found my voice. And I won't let people walk all over me anymore. And I for sure did. For sure, because it would cause fighting if I didn't want them to, or I just wanted to be nice and just be like, whatever, I don't care. And that's just not a way to live. And it feels like super shitty when your opinion isn't valued. Like your opinion on nothing isn't valued, and someone or people keep just masking you, and your opinion goes nowhere, and you lose who you are. And it is a crappy feeling. Ugh. I'm going to try to get through this. Number 3. Sorry. Anna's going to cut me off if I'm super bad. But number 3, I have learned how to invest in your closest friends. This is one life lesson that I am so glad I learned at 39 and not 49. When you go through hard times, one second. I got it. Okay, so what I have learned is when you go through hard times, you really, really see who has your back. I've had to do a huge evaluation on my circle, on my close circle, who I thought was my close circle, who I thought I had these friends, because if you're a friend to me, I will hold space for you. And holding space is for you to vent to me, and I will not judge you. I will not look at you any differently. And I've had to do a huge evaluation on who I want in my life, because when you go through hard stuff, you really see who is there for you. And that was a huge eye-opening. And I pray no one has to go through that, but it definitely woke me up. And I asked for, just for you to look at your friendships, and do you immediately, if someone's telling you something, do you immediately talk about yourself, first of all? Second of all, do you immediately try to fix them and tell them what to do? Because when people vent to you, that's not your job. Your job is to listen and to be a good listener and to really shut up and let them vent to you. And that's a super hard thing for people to get. And I had to learn it the hard way. And it only has made me really, really value my close relationships, the people who've stuck with me, through thick and thin. And I will value that till forever, because that is a huge, they have made me get through all of the hardships. Anyway, so number 4 is my values. I don't think I ever took time out to figure out what I valued, how I wanted to live my life, what my core values were. I talked about that in the last podcast, or the 2 podcasts ago. And that's super important. Otherwise, you're floating through life and you're sleepwalking. And every decision you'll make and you're going to say yes, but if it doesn't pertain to your core value, then it gives you direction in life, basically. And if you have no direction, then you're just living in this circle and you're not aware, and it's unfulfilled. And I lived it. You will feel totally unfulfilled. What is my purpose? And that is where this book comes in. What Am I on Earth? It's the purpose-driven life. And it tells you why God made you and all of that. Super, super life-changing. So with the core values, I ultimately, what I figured out is I want to personally show up with grace and integrity in everything I do, which is really hard, really, really hard. It's like when it's raining outside and you go and park at the grocery store and you have to take your cart back and it's raining, pouring, freezing. You have kids in the car and you have a whole car full. Do you just leave the cart there by the car, or do you take the time to go take it back? That is living with integrity. Doing the stuff that you don't want to do because it's the right thing to do. And I pray to God my kids, follow that or see me doing that. Okay, number 5, clarity. The song that I play in almost every class I teach now is I Can See Clearly Now. That totally resonates with me. For years, I felt trapped in my personal life and in my business life. I have learned in 2019 to cut things out. If it doesn't align with my value and it doesn't feel good to me, then I just cut it out. And that's the hardest thing I've had to do. But I have gained clarity by, I had to do an exercise in a counseling session a while ago this year. And she was write down where you see yourself in 10 years. And I don't want you to say, oh, I'm in a house. My answer 5 years ago would have been, oh, happily married, with kids and living in a big house. And that's not going into anything. She wanted me to dive into how would I feel in 10 years? How will I look in 10 years? Who am I with in 10 years? What am I doing with my every single day? What does a perfect day look for me in 10 years? And it's how you find that out is you just sit there and write and you do the big dreams. She wanted me to not hold back at all. And it will really show you your vision in life and the most important things with you. It will give you direction. And I set and did that this year, and I feel like it has totally changed my course in life. And when you have clarity, it will help you make decisions right now for your future. So if I know what I want in 10 years, every day, even today, 10 years from now, Right now, I want to be conscious and aware of every decision I make, because if it has to align with my goal. Some of the questions that you can ask yourself to figure that out is, what do I want? What to do, to be, and to have. So in 10 years, what do I want to be doing? What do I want to be? And what do I want to have? And that could be a whole other podcast. Number 6, boundaries. That's been a huge lesson. I did read this book, I would say 4 years ago, and it probably just didn't pertain to me at all. If you asked me to read this right now, I would probably have it outlined, page marked, all of the above. It says when to say yes and how to say no. Take control of your life. And that's very easy. The easy thing to do is not to do this, is to just let someone else dictate your life. But boundaries is huge. I will do a podcast just on that. The way boundaries taught me this year, I would say, is my environment. Environment truly affects you, like really physically affects you. It affects your subconscious, which means when you affect your subconscious, that's your body. So that's like when stress could kill you. A lot of things could go wrong when you're not aligned with your environment. I learned this year to create an environment of peace, abundance, love. Like when I'm home, I truly want to be present with my kids, and I want to do something meaningful. That is just something I had to go through to learn what exactly I wanted. My number 7 is gratefulness. And Anna's going to show you a picture of what my number 1 gratefulness is. Obviously, my children. God. Gratefulness has been proven to change your mood and to change the state you're in. If you are not aware of all your blessings, you can expect to live an unfulfilled life. So I've had a lot of counseling, and the number 1 thing that they tell you to do is wake up, and I don't care if it's on your phone or if you journal it, but 3 things you're grateful for, like right off the bat. Because once you live in gratitude, you cannot live in fear, you can't live in anger, you can't live in negativity. And the more you do something, the more you repeat it, the more you make it a habit, it's going to get into your subconscious. And once it's in your subconscious, it can't go anywhere. Like you will use it. It's like brushing your teeth. Subconscious. You just do it. You just do it. And when you do gratitude journaling, it has to be daily. You have to spend like 2 minutes on it a day. It will get engraved in the brain. The subconscious is where you really, really have changing happening. Change happens there, and gratitude will change it. And that's just writing down every single day what you're grateful for. And it should be super quick. And then when you get in those crappy times, your brain switches over to the really good times. And that's great gratitude. And that could be a whole nother podcast. Number 8, my most important relationship, which truly has changed my life, is, of course, my number 1 is God. I have never felt more close to him than I have. He has been a huge constant in my life. When I get upset or when I get overwhelmed and stressed, like my number 1 go-to is to be by myself. It could be in my car. It could be on my bed. It could be on the floor. And I talk to him. And he's always there. And I always feel good after that conversation. And I wish people had that, because it's a huge blessing just to have that kind of relationship. Okay, number 9. Oh, and then Anna just put Jesus calling. I do that daily, and that is just knowing that he's a priority of mine. So every single day, I want to read his word. I want to acknowledge him. I want to keep him around me. So it's something I have put in my subconscious, meaning I've done it for years straight, daily, and my whole day is messed up if I don't do that, the first thing. Number 9, I'm almost done with this, which is great. Okay, so a leader. I have learned how to be a leader, finally.
it's definitely a purpose of mine that God has given me, because I've led retreats. Anna's going to show you some pictures of retreats, and it's just with women that we come together. And right here in this picture, we all set our intention for 1 year. So I had them write on a notepad and put it in a little glass bottle of where they see themselves in 1 year. And I will do a whole other podcast next week on how to set intentions, because that's huge. This is another picture of us it's just happy people. I think working out and fitness make you happy. And so we work out in the mornings, and then literally we're together throughout the day, just hanging out and getting away from the craziness of everyday life. And honestly, it's just an uplifter, in my opinion. Like, we should all be lifting each other up. And that's all my retreats are. It's just positive, positive, positive. So I have learned that I'm not a follower, and I am a leader. People have told me my whole life that I had something different in me, something special, and I've never seen it until this year. So someone told me, I remember in the studio, I was teaching like 2 years ago, and said, you're a star, right? And I was like, no. I just thought I was, just an average person. But anyway, I have become a leader, and that just becomes a huge platform for me. And that's one of the reasons why I started this. I was told to do a podcast years ago, and I never did it. I always had something more important to do or whatever. But this is definitely a calling that I have. And I believe you go through stuff to share with other people, to help other people. And that is exactly what God has put me through. So that is why I'm here, because it's super scary to put everything out. So anyway, my last lesson is purpose. I have a mission statement in my life, and I wish everyone did. Like, you should sit down and really evaluate what your mission is in life. I felt like this was my calling, the podcast, just because it kind of gets me more personal with you guys. And by all means, I do not know it all. I don't know anything really. And I'm here to learn from everybody. So I don't ever want to come across that way. In 2020, I would love, it's a whole new, not only is it a new year, it's a decade. 2020 is a whole new decade. And my tips for you, because I do the same thing, is I want you to think about where you want to be in 2030. So in 10 years from next year, where will you be? Who are you spending time with? Where do you live? Who have you become? And what are you most proud of? I'm going to do also a podcast on writing out our visions. Like, that's like the whole vision board, and you're supposed to, the way you get it in your subconscious brain is you see it every day, and you think about it every day, and you write about it every day, and truly it's called manifesting. And you can really, really get those things if you focus on it. It's law of attraction. So whatever you focus on is what you get back. And that is a life lesson that I wish everyone would get, because we wouldn't be so miserable. What is the value I'm sharing with others is another question to ask. Like, where do you want to be in 2030? How is my physical health? Am I in good shape or am I not? What have I mastered in these 10 years? Like, what do I want to get out of life? This is how you stay aware of what is going on in your life. This is how we stay in control. Otherwise, it can be a rat race, and I call it Groundhog Day. It's like torture for me because I lived it. Every day was the same, and it's like you're just going through the motions, and it's not supposed to be that way. You should feel every single day, should feel like really, really good, and you should be grateful for what you get to do. Like, every day, I'm so thankful for that. I get to do what I love every single day, and that is a huge blessing for me. And I would never take that away and never be ungrateful for that. I don't know about you guys, but for me in 2020, I am going all in. because what the hell else, you know? On everything. I don't want to live in regret. I want to live with purpose. That's kind of why I named the podcast this. I want everything to be done with intentional purpose. I want to make a name for myself. We are in charge. We can create whatever kind of life we want. We just have to visualize it and be aware of it and quit sleepwalking. Quit going home, going to work, coming home and watching Netflix. You know, really easy to do. So join me next time. We're going to be talking about intentions. I do that a lot in the retreats is I want you to write out your intentions. I do a year, I do 5 year, and then I do 10 year. And I keep it in a little glass bottle by my bed. And that is just a reminder of, you know, every single day why I'm doing this, what I'm doing, just living in purpose. And thank you. This will be the end of it. I'm sorry I got emotional, but that is just where I am. There's probably not a day I haven't cried in like a month, every day. And thank you for listening, and thank you with listening with an open heart, I hope. And I love you guys. I will see you next week.